Carlsbad Caverns National Park. This is a neat place. I came here when I was about 10 years old, and then we came back, Debbie and I did, once we got married, and then we're back again. But there's an interesting story about this park. It was discovered by a Jim White back in the 1800s. He was riding his horse through the Chihuahuan Desert looking for stray cattle. And what happened was he saw this column of smoke rising out of the ground. So he rode over there to find out what was on fire. As it turns out, it was just millions and millions and millions of bats flying out of the ground that looked like smoke. So later on, he came back and started exploring a little bit of the cave. And it gives, I think in 1980, they discovered an inscription inside the cave that says J. White, 1898. Which gave credibility to the story. And Jim White, I believe he died in 1946 at the age of 63. But anyway, it's a fascinating story, but we're going to go, the bat population has been reduced since then, of course, due to man. But we're going to go inside, look around the caverns, and see what's there again, and we'll see you there. This is truly one of my most favorite national parks, and I really was excited. We entered the park through White City and drove up the Canyon Highway to the Visitor Center. You're driving through the Chihuahuan Desert and you would never expect that anything's here, but it's all completely underground. So there's not a whole lot to see around you, besides there are a few trails and the typical arid region and plants and animals of the Chihuahuan Desert. But you would never expect and believe what's underneath this ground, and you're about to see. We finally arrived at the visitor center and got out just to stretch our legs and look around, and it's still really beautiful views from here. You're sort of on top of this mountain and hill, and it overlooks the Chihuahuan Desert, and so we just took a few pictures and then decided to head inside. We came early this morning. It was a little chilly, but it doesn't really matter since the cave temperature stays the same. But the visitor center is open from 8 to 5. We just wanted to get there early to buy our tickets. But I recommend getting your tickets online. There are several cave tours. You can do a self-guided tour or a ranger tour, and we just chose the cheapest, really self-guided, so we could just take our time and look at the things on our own. Make sure you get your tickets early because they quit selling them at 2:15 and the last entrance into the cave is at 2:30. So get there early and beat the crowd. The visitor center is very nice, and the first thing you're going to want to do is to watch The Hidden World, a 16-minute video all about how the park was discovered. This was a great map, but we're actually starting at the visitor center, and rather than take the elevator down to the caverns, we're going to take the visitor center over to the natural entrance and go down into this section, and that's where the bats come out. The bats are at this elevation. Down in here to the main corridor, work our way down, and then into the main cave area.
I'm going to get this stamp in the map.
This is the big room. And there's even deeper parts. Okay, this is marker number 1. We're going to go all the way down into the natural cave entrance. We chose to take the natural cave entrance. You can take the elevators down, your tickets to go into the cave. You can either choose to ride the elevators down and back up or take the natural entrance into the cave. We chose the natural entrance. We could be sorry. It adds almost an extra mile to the walk, and it's downhill. They say it's a little strenuous. It drops about 80 feet, I guess, but I think we can do it. Gravity's going to get us there one way or the other. So we're going to go wind our way down to the main part of the cave through the natural entrance. So I just thought we'd just see more of the cave, get our steps in, get a little exercise. And this is also the way to the amphitheater to watch the bats come out around 7:15, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there. The column of bats come out, and we're going to come back later in the day to see that. We came early in the morning, and we're here at 9:30 got our tickets for the 9:30 appointment. Be sure to get your reservations, and or it becomes sold out pretty quickly. They only let so many people in at a time, so get those either online or if you're lucky enough, get them here. But we chose to come early with just less people. So here we go into Carlsbad Caverns National Park. All you have to do is follow the signs and the ranger will take your ticket.
I just need to see it.
Okay.
And let's get these folks down here and then we'll go over the rules.
All right.
Number one, please don't touch anything. Oils on your fingers are very damaging to the cave environment. They can stop some formations from growing and permanently stain the walls of the cave. So just don't touch anything other than the handrails on either side of you.
After a few instructions from the ranger, we follow the signs headed to the entrance of the cave, ready for our descent. This is the amphitheater for the bat flights. Wow, hadn't really changed in 40 years. But this is where they come out. This is where Jim White would have first seen the bats. Oh goodness, 100 years, 150 years ago, whenever it was. Back in the 1800s, flying out of here looking like something was on fire, millions. So we're gonna come back tonight to watch this, so that'll be pretty fun. This really brings back memories. We're at marker number 4. Ready to go, Deb?
Here we go.
This is really pretty cool. You can see why this park would be so popular. And for people like us, we're not going to get sunburned there. Finally in the shade and cool. Perfect place for the desert. The closer you get to the cave opening, you begin to feel the cold air coming up and out of the cavern's entrance as you descend down the switchbacks all the way into the opening. It's a well-maintained path. It is smooth, but it is steep. And your voice really carries, so I'm just sort of whispering here. I'm sure Jim White didn't climb down here on this path. I see bats flying. I don't know if you can even see down here, but this path continues down to way down in there. That's where we're headed. You good, Debbie? It's just so incredible down here. Once you reach the big room and the other parts of the cavern, you're just presented with these beautiful rock formations. And all the trails are paved and easy accessible and well lit, but I would wear rubber shoes or soles, so it is a little damp and you might slip, and it's better traction. The temperature runs about 56 degrees all the time, so you might wear a light sweater or jacket. The stalactites are just beautiful. Can you see this lion's tail hanging from the ceiling? While we looked around and continued our journey, we came across this old ladder that goes down deep in the cavern. It was used by Jim White back a long time ago. Imagine going through this thing in the dark. Rangers are located all throughout the cavern, and it's really interesting talking to them. They tell you a lot about the formations and how they were formed. Another thing just to note, strollers aren't allowed throughout the cavern, but you can carry those infant backpacks. And I would recommend a restroom stop just before you start the tour in the big room that has food and drinks and restrooms. We're heading back up from 750 feet. Moves pretty fast. We're riding the elevator back, and we've just back up to the visitor center, and that was fantastic. We walked down and then rode up.
Vestibule.
So here we made it. So we walked all the way down and then rode the elevator up from 750 feet. That was a lot better than climbing back out. But that was just awesome. I guess it let us out at the visitor center, so we're going to go back out. Probably head back to the hotel and then come back for the bat show. There are many other exhibits to look at. I thought this was kind of a fascinating timeline chronology of when the park was formed in 1930 and how it developed and how they built it and when all the parts and pieces formed. But we walked around in the gift shop a little while. They have a very nice gift shop with all kinds of course, rocks and things like that, shirts and mugs, the usual. And also, if you're a little bit hungry, they've got a restaurant, a hamburger type place, and the food is good, so you can stop there and get a snack. We completed the inside of Carlsbad Caverns. We walked quite a long ways. We had to take our jackets off about halfway through. It just got a little too hot, but it's cool in the cave, but you kind of appreciate it after you've been hiking so long. And it was fantastic. So we did the underground. Now we're going to go home back to the hotel and come back at 7:15 this evening for the back show and see the outside. So we'll catch you a little bit later this afternoon. It turned out to be a cold and windy day for April, and it really didn't matter since most of the things we saw were on the inside. But we're going to have to come back a little bit later tonight, so we better take our jackets too. The drive out is just as nice as the drive in, and it's still daylight, but we made it back finally. We're going to go down to it's about 7 o'clock now, and we've come back to watch the bat show. The bats flying out of the cave. We'll see what's there. What is this? This is the last week in April. Mm-hmm. And the bats aren't all here yet, right? They migrate here. Mm-hmm. And they don't come out every night. They came out last night. So they may or may not come out, right?
It's available every night beginning Memorial Day.
Beginning Memorial Day is when they start having the actual official shows for the bat flights. Since the bats all migrate here, they continue to come in through the spring. So if we're lucky, we'll see them tonight. I hope they come out tonight. Well, unfortunately, the bats didn't cooperate. They just haven't all migrated here yet, but I have seen them before fly out as thick as smoke. I tried to add a couple just so I wouldn't be disappointed. Well, the bats left and so did we, but we enjoyed our visit at Carlsbad Caverns National Park, and I hope you get to see it one day too. So join us at the next park and we'll see you there.